Tecolote means owl in Spanish. This is Owl Canyon. The owl night and day watches over this land, and for that reason, he is the mascot of this forest farm. Tecolote Forest Farm is a project that started in 2023 from humble beginnings. It's a quarter-acre lot on a feral piece of land on the edge of Tecolote Canyon in San Diego. The goal is to create a market garden transitioning to a forest farm. So we have short and long-term goals, but essentially I'm going to run through the last 8 months of installing the infrastructure here and progress made. Any sizable garden, or farm for that matter, needs a tool shed. So we started with building a base and built a tool shed, as well as a nice outdoor wash basin and transplant zone with a drain that goes right to our upper bed. So up top, just off the driveway, is the Zone 1 composting bays. This is for thermophilic composting that we're doing on site, making our own compost. And we can also keep our wood chips in one of these bays for doing mulches as well. Now it's time for terracing. Had we simply been planting a row of trees or alley crop orchard, a swale and mound would suffice. But in this instance, we wanted to get a wider bed to interplant annuals along with shrubs and perennials to build up a forest farm. And the best way to do that we saw was terracing. So we decided to go with T-post and this corrugated metal system here. All things considered, we figured this would be the most ergonomic way forward. Considering we have to bring in a bunch of soil to grow in, we would like to get planted this season. This is a for-profit market garden. We don't have years to build the soil, so we are bringing in a load of soil to get the ball rolling, get the process kick-started much faster. We are a certified farm in San Diego County in a residential zone. And even though we are a for-profit business venture, we also wanted to show this model for any residential urban household that might want to grow some of their own food. You could also do the same thing we're doing here to supplement your own food, to bring in some annual veggies in the same season you planted, as well as start establishing perennial shrubs and trees that will harvest and produce fruit for years and years to come. Building terraces progress here. Second shelf going in. Just working on the corners. Hey kitties. The string line all the way down there. That's my line all the way across the hillside. And we'll have a third shelf, top, middle, one more going straight across here, and then we'll have the bottom shelf orchard avocados down at the bottom. Well, they say that many hands make light work, and it's time to hire some more hands. The planting season is amongst us, and we still have a long ways to go just to get our infrastructure in. So we got a few hands hired to help out. Super thankful to have a couple of my buddies here to assist. So we chiseled out 3 rows for our terraces. These beds are approximately 4 feet, and we hit pockets of sand, but there's a lot of hard clay as well here. We also laid hardware cloth down on all of our terraced beds, as you can see, to help with the gopher problem. Our beds are finished being prepped. We'll take a little owl's view. Our soil has arrived. We're ready to wheel that in and start priming up our soil for planting. This is a great company we source bulk soil from here in San Diego for a great price and for a great organic soil that we've been absolutely thrilled with. A word of caution I would throw out there is definitely research companies when you are buying bulk soil. You know, you don't want to buy something that's just tossed together and has not been composted. You really want that process to be done already. Here we have some JMS, some Jadam microbial solution that is ready for application.
Haha! Yeah, mi amigos! Hell yeah! Woo!
Those were my worker buddies that were checking out the scene from down below. And now what I'm doing is priming this soil by conditioning it with Jadam microbial solution. This is a microbial inoculant that will help to condition the soil. It'll help to get the soil biology right and to help that soil food web start to develop, as well as break down all the organic matter in the soil. And you can find a video on culturing JMS, Jadam microbial solution, in my videos. Here I'm getting my drip system hooked up. I have PVC run to poly, and this is a drip line with 1 gallon per minute emitters at every 1 foot all the way down. Here in SoCal, water is an extremely precious resource that we need to conserve. So these drip emitters will really help to conserve and use water very wisely along with this landscape fabric here. Now, I know landscape fabric can be a real bone of contention, especially in the regenerative farming community. What I would say is that you can definitely use landscape fabric in certain scenarios. This is a market garden, and I think for this type of application, it actually works pretty well. This is a permeable landscape fabric, so it can breathe, and it's going to help to hold moisture down below in the soil. It's actually going to help to preserve the biology in the soil. And so it can be used successfully in regenerative farming, but yes, you can misuse landscape fabric as well. And as you can see right here, we have a bunch of mushrooms popping up, which are the fruiting bodies of mycelium that is running all underneath the soil, underneath that landscape fabric. So between the terraces, what we decided to do between the space between the shelves here is to put in dirt lockers. What I like to call them is soil lockers, because we're not working with dirt here. Dirt is inert. We're working with soil, and it's alive and thriving. So right here I'm installing these soil lockers to help the erosion and to bring in some soil to put in there. But again, I'm using some of this mesh, this metal mesh, the hardware fabric, that will help to protect any of the gophers from coming up and chewing on the roots. So we have a lot of gophers here, and that has been an ongoing battle. We also have a lot of possums. So one other application to use the landscape fabric is also to keep out the possums, because the possums are digging for worms and they can be a bit destructive. They dig deep down and they're ripping up roots. They've ripped up a bunch of my pepper plants. So between the possums burrowing down from the top, the gophers from the bottom, we definitely have to do some thorough defense there. So here I'm using some inoculant. Instead of the liquid inoculant I was using before, this is the shelf-stable JMS. I have a video on that as well. I also like to call it my fairy dust. And I am planting some shrubs here in the soil lockers. These are perennial shrubs. We're doing a stagger of blueberries and strawberries along here. And I'm priming the holes here with the fairy dust, aka the shelf-stable JMS. And you can check out the video I did on the process for that to get an idea of how you can make shelf-stable JMS. I'll run you through that whole process. And here is the first blueberry that we planted in this soil locker row. You could also use your IMO 3 or 4 sprinkled in place of the fairy dust 2 for a similar application here. So I'm staggering the strawberries between the blueberries, and we'll run all the way down to the end of the line in our soil lockers with the perennials between the two beds here. And we're going to water those in thoroughly after planting to prime those roots, get them nice and established. And as I was mentioning in the beginning, this is a food forest we're developing here, and I'm not going to get a whole lot into the design aspects in this video. This is more intended to be overall progress, covering a lot of ground, no pun intended, showing the infrastructure, the foundation, and some of the techniques that I'm using along the way to get everything established. Later, we'll go into more details on the design development. Here I'm broadcasting some flower seeds, some companion plants, some pollinators for the bees, yarrow, we have some calendula and marigold in the mix as well, helping to establish a healthy biome of resilience, which really comes from diversity. Just wanted to share this example of companion planting. This is the base of an avocado tree with Cherokee Trail of Tears beans, an heirloom bean, a legume, which is a nitrogen fixer. So the bean is fixing nitrogen down into the soil for the avocados, and in return the avocado tree has this very sturdy stalk, this thick trunk the beans can climb up. We got these beautiful purple beans here. All the way up into the canopy it goes. Here in this zone 3 area, I built this landing pad for the bees. This is a takeoff platform mini apiary for our beloved pollinators. And you can see here in this Three Sisters Guild, we have some squash flowers and the bees are busy out pollinating. Every single flower has multiple bees here, so they're doing a great job pollinating all of our flowers. One of the classic guilds here, corn, beans, and squash, handed down to us from the Native Americans. That's what food forests are all about, is emulating the symbiotic relationships between plants, what plants grow well together. Here's some of our cucumbers that have evolved through the season. Some different produce here, our chili peppers. We made a line of hot sauces this season. Check out the link below to Tecolote Forest Farm if you'd like to get some of our hot sauce. Here you can see our tomatoes that have grown substantially since the beginning of the season. I'm doing some trellising here, and many of these tomatoes are overhead. I'm 6'2", so grown pretty tall. One of the beautiful things about being in Zone 10 here in SoCal is we get multiple harvests off of our nightshades, our peppers, and our tomatoes over winter over the season. Getting into some of the fruit trees we've also planted. This is a blood orange tree here. Bunch of citrus. We have passion fruit we established on a lot of the perimeter, the fences. Some guava, Mexican guava. This is a Myers lemon, more citrus here. We have a Abyssinian red banana here amongst a bunch of calendula that I've been growing. Dragon fruit, as well as a lot of propagated fruit trees, ice cream bean tree. We have an imperial lemon here, some fig trees and some pots, some palms that we're establishing for their higher canopy trees amongst these bananas here. So this is the top row, much like a alley crop row up here, and you can see some of the banana pups that are popping up here. We have burro as well as vanilla ice cream banana, and this is the bottom of the hillside. Further in the year, establishing another tree line here and planting another Myers lemon. A lot of citrus we planted here. And now we can drop the Myers lemon root ball in the hole. It's nice and primed. I got a bunch of great leaf mold from the area to prime the bottom of the hole. And now we're going to soak it in and add some really nice wood chips to the top here to protect that top layer. I have more videos to come soon on the design aspects of a food forest, how to design a food forest, how to go about establishing that with consortiums and companion plants, as well as the layering systems within the food forest, the harvest that you're going to have coming in at different interval periods. A lot of aspects that go into the food forest system and how you can interplant these annuals and perennials and their different stages of succession in a food forest. This is Watermelon Hill at Tecolote Food Forest. We have a Moon and Stars. This is the first watermelon we grew here, and it's now going to be the mother of our genetic line, saving all these big beautiful seeds. And it's absolutely delicious. Fruits of labor right here. See if we can get some volunteers here with these seeds.